Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Exploretti. I'm your host Jim. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about the #1 upgrade that I performed to the Aprilia Tuareg 660, and it's located right here, the GPR V5 Steering Stabilizer. If you'd like to know more, stay tuned. Manufactured out in San Diego, the GPR V5 Steering Stabilizer is fabricated from 6061 T6 aluminum and machined steel. There's also a stainless steel pin in there as well. GPR has designed and fabricated a kit specifically for the Tuareg 660. It is comprised of two primary components, a collar that attaches to the frame structure of the motorcycle, and then the top portion here that offers the damping, that attaches to the triple tree. And then there's an interfacer, a stainless steel pin that interfaces between those two components of the assembly. In my case, I purchased the V5 Steering Stabilizer really to solve one issue that I was having, and that was when I put knobby tires on the Tuareg and hit the interstate. About 77 or 78 miles an hour, I experienced front end shake and wobble that was uncomfortable at best. Anything with a rained groove, pavement, or in the last instance, I just hit just the seam of a bridge, and that induced a wobble on the front end that was disconcerting. During the creation of this video, I decided to reach out to GPR and see if anyone might be available to answer some questions regarding their stabilizers. So joining me today is Paul with GPR. This is the first time I've ever had a motorcycle that did not have a steering stabilizer on it, and then I experienced some, let's say, some front end wander and a little bit of high-speed wobble, and then I added the steering stabilizer. So I had a chance to get like an A/B test, and for me, it was night and day. It's definitely transformed my relationship and my experience with the bike.
Common feedback we get very often is typically with an experienced rider that they have that sort of day and night epiphany that you just shared with us. It makes a very big difference, and the more experience you have riding without one, the bigger that difference becomes, as you immediately notice what's going on. And the more you ride with it, the more you kind of learn what it's doing and how to apply it to your own specific needs. The adjusting on the fly is just a little cherry on the top.
What are some common problems that steering stabilizers really address for riders?
Well, it's deflection. It's kind of, to answer the question simply, deflection, period. But deflection is like a big umbrella term. It can mean and feel differently depending on the situation. Two-wheel chassis are always going to have the potential of getting upset or off balance in a way. And the moment that happens, you oftentimes get a wiggle or a shimmy through the bike as the chassis kind of rebalances itself. So the stabilizer is just going to reduce deflection, or in the worst cases where it's very powerful, it'll at least slow it down a lot, which gives the rider time to adjust, shift the weight, the things we do on the motorcycle to prevent a crash. So a stabilizer is by no means an autopilot. If you let go of the bars, some bad things could happen. It really just controls the speed of the deflection.
My next question was, is it a silver bullet? Does it overcome inadequacies of the bike and the rider? And if so, to what extent? But I think you articulated that
yes
well.
Yes and no,
yeah.
But it does have its limitations. For example, something we have experienced with older bikes that have shot head bearings, and perhaps the owner just hasn't thought about that's where all this play is coming from. So they buy a stabilizer, and they still have that weird sort of play on initial impact. The stabilizer will help. It will mask something like that, but as soon as someone who's a little bit experienced hops on the bike, they'll say, "Whoa, you got, like, there's something's loose up here." And that's oftentimes what we have found on older bikes, 20 years and more. The head bearings are just shot, and they're just unaware that's a theme that's up there.
Let's talk pros and cons. We're going to start with the cons. So you are adding a little bit of weight to the bike. Even though it's aluminum primarily, there's some steel in there, so you're adding a little bit of weight to the bike. You're also going to raise the handlebars up about 3/8 of an inch. For me, that was pretty negligible, and neither one of those particular cons are anything that I would really be too concerning with. The last one, you are also adding a bit of kit to the bike that's going to need some maintenance. GPR recommends that the device gets maintained or serviced about once a year, which is basically replacing the oil. It's not unlike a shock absorber, really, for your steering or handlebars. So the oil in there does need to be flushed and changed from time to time. So you're gonna have that to deal with as well. The pros, though, I think the pros far outweigh the cons on the motorcycle. And there's a reason that a lot of bikes come with an OE steering stabilizer. So the pros are, for me, a lot more confidence in the bike, whether it's on-road at higher speeds on closed courses, or off-road where you're dealing with embedded rock. It's a stream crossing where there's a rock in there that you can't see, or a deep sand pit. A lot of this stuff that you want to be prepared for, but at the same time, things happen fast on a motorcycle. You're not doing 5 miles an hour generally. You're going a little bit quicker. You've got a little bit more pace, and there's more energy there as well. So it is not unheard of to hit an unforeseen obstacle off-road and having the bars violently either jerk to one side or just pulled right out of your hands. So it's allowed me to really relax my upper body more while I'm riding. I'm not riding around with a death grip on my handlebars. So it is a bit less fatiguing, both on-road and off-road. The GPR steering stabilizer is a huge win for me. I found that it really, again, has changed my relationship with the Tuareg. It's made it a lot, I hate to say, it's made it a lot more of a partnership. But it has. I feel way more comfortable on the bike. Without the steering stabilizer and running knobbies on the interstate, I couldn't help but feel like the bike was it's like, is this the time it's gonna try and kill me? That was constantly in the back of my head. And as we all know, there's enough stuff while you're on a motorcycle that you're worried about. All the drivers around you, everybody on a cell phone, all of the crap that goes into it, let alone is the motorcycle now going to try and kill you too. So it's really changed the relationship I've had with the Tuareg and the tires. I think I've established, at least in my case, it's a very tire specific issue. All right, so for those of you who have run a steering stabilizer before, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe I've got something wrong here. Maybe you've experienced the exact same pros and cons that I have. Please hit up the comments. Let's have a little bit of a discussion there. People that are thinking about a steering stabilizer, please ask some questions again in the comments, and we'll see if we can't get the community to kind of jointly pitch in and get some of those questions answered. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video today. I greatly appreciate it. It's a lot of fun making YouTube content. I've recently hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. That was a big milestone for me. We set our goals out for whatever timeline, so it was really great to hit that. But I really owe a thanks to all the viewers. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a 5,000 mile review on the Tuareg. Give you some of my ownership experiences, what I think of it on-road, off-road, some of the ins and outs, some of the common problems. So look for that shortly as well. Thank you guys for sticking around for the whole video. It's very enjoyable to make some YouTube content. And I want to thank everybody for sticking around this long in the video.